All right, good morning, not evening. Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone's doing all right. Wave meteorologist Brian Good on this first day of April. No, this is not an April Fool's joke, in case you're wondering. This is a special edition here of Storm Talk. This is an alert day setup that is going to take us through the next 36 hours. This is not what we want to deal with any time of the year, but certainly the time of the year when everyone's trying to enjoy some spring break, right? But we do have an active setup, and it will come in pieces and phases. So it's not going to be a severe weather scenario, an active weather as far as severe weather, the entire 36 hours. But there will be time periods you need to pay more attention to than others. And one is, of course, conditional of the next, as always the case in terms of weather events that have a linear effect to them. One does go off the rails, then the other one does as well. So that is at least some glimmer of hope that there still will be some changes to this, and likely will be. But what I'm going to give you guys is as of this Monday morning, 9:41. It's the time I'm talking to you all now, where we stand now with this, and it's up upon you to keep checking back in as we have more information available for you guys. So don't forget, we have a 24-hour streaming channel that's available for you guys. Wave Weather Now. All the maps are updated there. Sometimes before you even have a chance to get them on TV, they update there. So it's like the old school weather channel. Make sure to watch it. You can on if you have a Fire Stick, you're able to watch it there, as well as Roku, as well as on Apple TV, YouTube. It'll be up and running. So even the alerts for warnings or watches that get issued will also scroll at the bottom as well. So it's a great tool to have. And if we interrupt TV, we will also interrupt that channel at the same time. So you're not going to miss anything if we were to jump on the regular channel. So I just want to make sure to get that out. So you have ways to get information. That's crucial in this. Weather radio, big, obviously. Make sure things are plugged in, charged up. You know the routine, especially since we're dealing with thunderstorms later tonight, to make sure things charged before you go to bed tonight and ready to go for tomorrow morning. Review your safety plans is always the case, where you need to go in your home and or work. If you're heading to work or at work now, that's a good time. This is a good time to do all that and review all that, and before things do get active. Okay, so let's. What I'm going to do is start with two main periods I think you need to watch. There's really three weather scenarios altogether, but I'll break it up into two, and hopefully that'll be easier for you guys to understand. If not, by all means, let me know. All right, let's start with the current view outside, which actually it's nice, right? We've got just some partly cloudy skies mixed in every now and then. A lot of cloud cover, though, overhead. Moisture levels have certainly increased while you were asleep last night. So we've got the moisture at play. We just don't have a lot of heating, at least not yet. But there is a front that is actually draped across the Ohio River Valley at the moment. It's a warm front. It started to head north last night, fairly slow and sluggish. Past couple of scans here, but it's generally lying right there across southern Indiana and northern Kentucky. And you see a few showers that keep trying to pop along that. But watching the fuel potential with this, so far, I haven't seen a ton. There's some. It looks like a lot. This is a low end amount we're talking about. But there is some storm fuel available. So this is where number one comes into play as far as storm potential will be along this warm front, which is still, by the way, trying to move toward Indianapolis and get north of Cincinnati. It's still on the move. So as it's trying to do that, it will take the storm threat with it as we head into this afternoon, this evening. So we're not looking at an active setup for many areas for the afternoon and early nighttime hours tonight because the front will be progressing. But for the next few hours, it still will be in our neighborhood, and we need to monitor that as it heads northbound. You can see where the storm fuel connects all the way over into Kansas and Oklahoma. This is basically how the severe weather event will unfold. It's basically an upside down L, the letter L across the nation's heartland into the Ohio River Valley. We've got a couple of things here. I'll draw all three and then explain. First off, we've got the warm front that's in the area now. This is where we get storm chance number one. The storm chance tonight after, say, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning will come from a complex that is going to be developing right here into the Show Me State. As it moves eastbound, it will also have quite a bit of severe weather with it tonight, arriving here likely during our sunrise show tomorrow. Then we have a small break, and then the last and final piece will be a low pressure itself that is going to get stronger across Illinois, heading into Chicago. As it gets stronger, it will allow for a corridor of intense thunderstorms to develop Tuesday afternoon, perhaps as early as lunch on Tuesday tomorrow, that will quickly race to the south and east. So it's a 1, 2, 3 punch potential on this whole severe weather idea. So here's the latest from the Storm Prediction Center. This is new. This was updated about 45 minutes ago. They have expanded the enhanced risk of level 3 and a 5 on the severe scale right into the Ohio River Valley and right into wave country, in fact. Louisville is included. Why is that the case? Most of that's going to be tonight. But majority of the action in this enhanced is going to be this afternoon and evening across the nation's heartland. So let me zoom in on the exact zone so you can see the enhanced risk. And I don't want you guys to get too caught up on the categories. And other categories get a lot of attention. And I do think they're very worth discussing in advance. But once you start getting into the events, the levels really don't matter as much because you're basically in the event, and these outlooks are updated not as frequently as the weather is happening. So they're becoming less and less important and significant in our communication. But at least want to mention as at this stage, this early stage, this is probably the last time, perhaps the midday update, that we'll get too much in the weeds on this one for today. But you get the idea. Enhanced risk right across southern Indiana, northern Kentucky, and then the categories drop as you head down to the south, mainly because you will have not only a weakening trend of the storms later on for tonight, but you are also further away from that warm front that is the main train track for a lot of these storms to track tonight. So I showed you the front where it was at now in northern Kentucky and Indiana, and it's again moving away. So with you all being south of the parkways, you will not be as much in the weeds on this one as areas to the north will be. We can break down these threats even more. Your tornado potential, it's elevated to be expected in this kind of scenario. These are typically the type of tornadoes that we would see in this setup tonight. Would be embedded into a line of thunderstorms, so they're a lot harder to detect. They typically do not last long, but they still can cause problems and damage. So we still got to pay attention to them. They're just a little more infrequent in their potential as they move on by, but it's certainly elevated for that potential with that complex rolling in. Your hail potential is the highest to the west when the actual complex of storms pops in the heat of the afternoon today into Illinois and Missouri. That's when you're going to get more of your massive supercells that'll pop first on the radar, and that's where you get your very large hail. I'm talking baseball-sized hail, likely in that area of Illinois into Missouri. Those cells will congeal together into one then complex of line that will become more of a damaging wind and an isolated tornado potential. In fact, your damaging wind threat is also elevated, and this is the main reason why we've been moved up to the enhanced risk 45 minutes ago. The change was because of this category, not the tornado potential, because of straight line winds. And I'm thinking right now, some of these straight line winds could easily exceed 70 miles per hour as they roll through. I mean, these things are going to be racing, and I-64 is going to be a general train track that it will use. Now, there is some glimmer here of hope in the idea that the warm front itself, with it being the train track, what if the warm front is a little further north than what is currently indicated? That would be good. That would take the majority of this and shove it, I would say, good 3 or 4 counties more north. And that would allow some of you, especially across Kentucky, to escape the overnight round. Indiana, very unlikely that will happen. But being devil's advocate, the same could be said if it were a little further south. Much more wave country would be in the zone for that complex. But that part, I will say, is still not locked in yet, and to be expected. I mean, we're looking at cells that have got to form back in Missouri and Illinois, then they've got to bump into each other and congeal into one complex, then roll east. Well, I mean, a lot can happen. Small little details matter, and modeling here and trying to predict these events just on models in advance. If one cell is off from another, or there's a little more of a stronger cell that leads the way, then again, the track can wobble a bit. So that's the reason why this overnight round is certainly not locked in. But this is the way the data is trending for now. And with it being an overnight potential, you don't want to take any chances, right? Let me show you what it looks like on Futurecast for this first round. Again, this afternoon, this is where you start to see this green specks indicating some isolated showers, isolated thunderstorms. Majority of that, you can see the shifting that is happening. It's getting a little more toward Columbus, Indiana, heading toward Kings Island into Cincinnati. Again, drifting a little further north, taking any severe risk this afternoon, evening with it, leaving a lot of us behind. We get into the overnight, and this is where we get into problems where the line wants to try to come back down again. Again, a bit of a wavering that happens, right? Whoops, hold on, let me move that back. The front itself kind of wavering a bit once it moves north. So again, Southern Indiana, we'll watch it. Now, this is a brand new model run, by the way. I just checked it. So I am going to be looking at this about the same time you guys will be. to see if there's any difference from what I've seen earlier. So far, the only thing that stands out to me, this is a little more south than what the previous run was for the overnight, where it tries to push the front back down again. All right, let's get into the main complex of storms that rolls in. And hold on one second. Let me bring that back up. All right, so here we go this afternoon. Here we go with the overnight. And here we go with the main blob of whatever happens in Missouri into Illinois tonight. Timing of this, again, right at the time of our sunrise show, right at the time when rush hour is starting. I know we had spring break, so that does help cut down on some of the traffic and worries, I'm sure, with parents. But that is right in the middle of the morning time period. Sunrise had not taken place at this point, so it'll still be dark out. And this is where we're going to have these complexes of storms roll through. Now, as this complex moves in, again, this is where you get your embedded potential for an isolated tornado. Otherwise, a lot of straight line wind potential with this. And there will be some hail. I do think hail is going to be likely. I just don't know if it's going to be large hail the entire path. It should be smaller than what Illinois is going to have. All right. But still, up to maybe quarter-size hail could still fall out of some of this. So that's your morning round that rolls on through. And then we get into the period of mid-morning. And this is where we start to see a small break. It's not going to last very long. You see the tail right there extending from that, what we call an MCS. You guys remember that term? Mesoscale Convective System, or MCC for a complex. Either way, it's just a fancy name for a big blob of storms. We typically see this more in late summer into early fall. We see MCSs rolling through. They are known for very heavy rainfall, a lot of lightning, a very tremendous amount of lightning MCSs can do. And again, straight line wind usually is the highest, but you can get isolated tornadoes. So again, isolated this afternoon, the threat starts to go up later tonight, and certainly as we get into about the 3 to 6 a.m. window for tomorrow morning. Am I clear on that first, which really has two pieces involved with the first half of this severe weather? If everyone's good, type 1, if you're good, if you understand where I am on that side of things at the moment. And again, if you have a lot of different questions on locations, I may not get to them all. I apologize. I'll try to circle back around toward the end. Let's see. Tara, some kids are back to school. Yep, some are back. I'm just referring to JCPS being out this week, but I know some schools are indeed back out. All right. I think everyone's okay. I'm just seeing a lot of comments. Everyone looks good. A lot of ones, a lot of ones. Okay, good. Now, again, that gets us through close to about this time tomorrow. So let's reset and talk about how we're going to get through tomorrow afternoon. And this one's probably getting more attention right now because of a few maps that got shared on social media, and it's gone wild in the past 24 hours. So let me try to cut through the weeds on this. Here's the outlook from the Storm Prediction Center tomorrow. This officially starts at 7 a.m., by the way. The one you just saw with the enhanced, it goes right into Louisville and I-64. That goes through 7 a.m. tonight. This one starts at 7 a.m. tomorrow. They hand off responsibility at 7 a.m., basically. So this one's at 7 a.m. is when it'll begin. And you can see the enhanced risk is already out and has been since yesterday, centered right there across wave country, really. Southern Indiana and all of our Kentucky counties are included. This is a level 3 again out of 5. I know you're going to ask me, is this going to be upgraded? I don't know. But again, we're getting into the touchy part of categories. Don't get too worried about that. More so the idea that we're just under the threat. And it's higher than normal threat on the potential than you normally have seen on some of these maps, okay? Let's break it down again. Here's your hail threats. Elevated, of course, quarter size, golf ball size, fairly typical. It is going to be warm, so they do tend to melt a bit. This is not like a hot summer day type of scenario, but it's still, there'll be some melting. Your straight line wind potential certainly is going to be there. Again, gust 60 miles per hour, 70 miles per hour, I think will be on the table. And your tornado potential is the reason why, though, that we really have seen the enhanced come out for this setup. And it does have a 10% listed, which we don't see too often. And it's listed roughly around Bardstown South. This map will be updated, I believe it is 1:30 or 2 o'clock. 1:30 or 2 o'clock today. So we got a while before this map gets a new look. Yes, there's a chance. A lot of you know about the hatched areas. There is a chance we could get a hatched on some of this. It's possible based on some of the data I'm looking at for tomorrow. But where, that's the challenge of the Storm Prediction Center, probably trying to figure that out right now. I think everyone watching, though, is under the risk for certainly severe weather as we head into your Tuesday. So let's start the clock. We started off with some showers and storms from the leftover MCS in the morning. We get a small breather, a break, grab a sandwich, a donut, whatever the case may be. This will get us to about the midday show tomorrow, but we don't have long to relax, unfortunately, because the atmosphere is ready to go. We have that low pressure back into Illinois that is going to get stronger as it moves towards Chicago. As that happens, there is going to be a reaction down the line with cells that will begin to pop on the radar. Some of these cells could be popping as early as 1 or 2 o'clock. This updated model run doesn't have a whole lot happening at that point, but I do think it's worth mentioning that anything that pops tomorrow afternoon after 12 p.m. can certainly cause severe weather and can easily rotate. You see temperatures pushing a little closer to 80 in some spots now. Even a few hints of sun. Sun's not your friend in this one at all. So here we are. This is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Here we are at 6 o'clock. 2 different areas we're watching. These are supercells in advance of the line that can easily be producing severe weather. And there will obviously be some severe weather along the actual line itself, rolling through the area. And then after that moves on by, then we see the cells begin to mainly become damaging wind makers as it's a solid line. That's the actual front. About 9:30. I think it's going to be a little faster than what's indicated. A good hour, maybe 2 hours faster than what you see here on its speed. Once it gets going, it moves a lot faster than the models can keep up with. So it's out of here, then we're done. We're done with that one. Let me show you some of the raw data on this. And I'm, again, just now seeing this kind of the first time with you all. This is looking at the same data, but in a more numerical form. And when I'm looking at your supercell composites, I mean, it's 6, 7, it's up there, absolutely up there. I'm not seeing any 10s or 12s, but it is certainly high. And there's 2 areas where we see that happen. One along the actual line, the MCS, and then again, it spikes again Tuesday afternoon. As far as your significant tornado parameter, not very high. It's elevated at a 1, but it's not very high for the overnight round, but it does go up to about a 2. I did have actually some 4s and 5s at times that were showing up with this for the significant tornado parameter, even higher than that in Northeast Kentucky. But this is Louisville specifically that the data is pointed to. Let me show you the map version. Very similar idea. Again, a low would be about a 2, 1 or 2, maybe 3. And then the high would get you to about an 8 or a 9. All right, so here we go. The tornado potential for this afternoon. It's low end. We get into the overnight. It does have that spike ahead of the MCS that moves to the area for tomorrow morning. And then we get into tomorrow afternoon. You see how quickly we just rebuild the atmosphere, charge things back up. And this is what we don't want to see, is these elevated values that are showing up that could easily get up to 8s and 9s. And any cell, again, that can get organized and can be isolated. If any thunderstorm wants to be, stingy and hold the environment to its own, those are the ones to watch tomorrow. They can easily begin to spin. And some of these tornadoes could be long lasting. They could stay on the ground longer than just a few minutes that we normally are accustomed to. So those are the ones that obviously are dangerous to have to watch as they pop. That moves on through, and then we're out of the threat as we head into the evening hours. So you may be asking, well, what could ease all of that? Destroy that idea? Well, there's a lot of things that could, but there's no doubt what happens tonight has to be answered, and it has to be tracked carefully. That complex that moves in 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, if it is going as forecast now, and what we just showed you on Futurecast, then the likelihood of what I just showed you for tomorrow afternoon is likely to happen as well. If things go off the track, hopefully for the good reasons here for tonight, then that may have some influence for tomorrow, especially if we end up with more of a cloudier, showery type of setup early in the day, preventing the sun from trying to shine whatsoever. That can disrupt these individual cells from forming, and then you may likely still get a line in the afternoon. You just won't get the powerful big supercells that form if the sun were to try to come out, if you get down to a quiet period in the early hours of your Tuesday. So we don't have that answer yet. No one does. No one does. But all I can tell you is everything's all potential based. We're telling you all this not to scare you. Obviously, we don't want you to be scared. We want you to be prepared. We want you to be aware, prepared, do what you need to do to take care of your errands you need to run. Gave you the times right now that you can get stuff done without worry, and then let us take care of the rest for you. And we'll just constantly keep you updated. It's worth mentioning, by the way, the rainfall is going to be obviously very, very intense with this multiple round scenario of thunderstorms. This is one model's idea of 4.5 inches in Bedford, Indiana. I don't know if it's going to be 4.5 inches in Bedford, Indiana, but I can tell you that those kind of amounts are not going to be unheard of. I do think we're going to see some very impressive amounts on rainfall. So there will be some flooding potential. Right now, the flood watch that is out is going to be just from around Henry County, Trimble, Jefferson County, Indiana, and Northeast. That's the most likely area to pick up the multiple round scenario, but that could be expanded. So, and it gets tough because now we're talking about, making sure that you're getting the lowest level of your home, protecting yourself from tornadoes, but also at the same time, if you live near a creek, pay attention to the creek. Make sure it's not getting out of its banks while you're down the lowest level of your home. We don't want you to get both weather issues at play your home. Hopefully that's not the case, but just be very, very aware of both scenarios that are at play here. All right, so can I answer anything that I haven't in more and more detail here? I wish it was the same for Fool's joke. I do too. I do too. We have a lot going on because we are covering the 50th anniversary of the April 3rd, 74 outbreak coming up on Wednesday. So, wow, the timing on this, it always seems to be the case, right? Anniversaries events usually have a tendency to repeat sometimes. I'm not saying 1974 is going to repeat here. I'm going to be clear on that. But as far as just having active weather right at the time when you're trying to honor those that lost their lives in 74 and relive that event then. This has looked worse than the waterspout outbreak. The waterspout outbreak, Adam. I haven't heard that reference yet. You're talking about Madison and Milton, Kentucky area. Yes, this does look more intense than what happened on March 14th. I can even April Fool's joke with the report this morning. Well, yeah, it's tough. People don't realize that severe weather is coming out. The sky does look a little eerie out there today, so I think a lot of folks may be getting it. Roscoe, I know it's a week out about the eclipse. I haven't had a chance to pull out a lot of the maps. I'm not going to cover the eclipse today. I know it's a week from today. I can tell you right now, there is a storm system that is going to be approaching early next week. We have a gap this weekend, but a system approaches. How much rain or how much cloud cover it'll have, we're still working out. But do I see a signal right now of a beautiful blue sky overhead for the eclipse day? No, at the moment I do not. But I promise you we're watching that. We've got to get through this event here the next couple of days, and then we'll tackle, because this system ultimately is going to affect the speed of the one for a week from today. Because this one's going to linger. Remember, it's going to linger here even on Wednesday, even without severe weather. But Wednesday, it's wind, rain, and snow mixed in with wind chills in the 30s all day on Wednesday. So after we get past this warm, stormy period, Wednesday is going to be just an absolutely blustery, yucky day. But this is such a dynamic system for obvious reasons that I'm talking about. It will cause a jammed up effect of the storm track into next week as well. So that will affect timing. So it's hard to really discuss too much about the eclipse system until we know what this one's going to do. So that's the reason why I don't want to get into too many weeds here into the maps and without having that answer for you guys. Okay. Everyone heard the snow word now. Like, what? Okay. So let me recap this again, and I'm going to show the modeling, and then I have to get ready because new data is rolling in, and I get ready for the midday show. So let me, again, recap both of them real fast so you guys know that what I'm referring to here. All right. We'll start with the one this afternoon and tonight. Again, any thunderstorm coverage this afternoon is going to be isolated along the actual front that is sliding north. You notice, again, the most recent data, it does not want to take this all the way into Indy or Kings Island. It wants to slow it down a bit or even try to push it back down in Indiana tonight. So that's something we'll have to watch. I don't know if the other high-res data that's rolling in right now is doing the same little shift, but this one did a shift. So it's interesting. You need to watch it. Otherwise, it'll be the main complex that'll roll in here between 5 and about 6 a.m. A lot of heavy rain. A mess of a commute tomorrow morning. Very heavy rainfall, hail, straight line wind threat, isolated tornadoes, just a noisy overnight period in general. It's going to be a warning. It's going to get your attention. We get into the break that will last only for a few hours as we head into about mid-morning tomorrow. And then we get into tomorrow, midday, early afternoon. That's when we could start to see at that point some heating take place and then allowing for some thunderstorms to pop. Again, anything that's in cellular form that pops tomorrow afternoon can easily produce a very large hail and a tornado if it develops. Otherwise, the main line is the actual front. That is the That is the clear, the all clear of we're done, we're over, you can go to bed, you can relax. That line is key. It does not pass through Louisville until about supper time as we end Tuesday, and then it's out of here and we're done. But the daytime period tomorrow is going to be the most active window for that. And again, if we end up with some heating going on, some of those supercells could be very, very dangerous that do pop. All right, I'm going to leave it at that for now. I know there's a lot of you on here. I'll try to go back and look at some of your questions. We're going to have more updates on this. If anything significant changes in the data, I'll have another update later on today. And I'm sure that Kevin or Ryan both will be on for tonight with an update for you guys as well. So we're going to keep you covered. Just don't forget about our 24-hour weather channel. I can't stress this enough. That is available for you guys for these type of events. It's, again, will be constantly updated with the maps. Everything's automated, all right? And the forecast is constantly changing. The outlooks from the Storm Prediction Center, any warnings or watches. And if we interrupt that channel, you will see us interrupt that channel. It's on the Wave Weather Now is the name of it, on our streaming services, the app, as well as on Roku and on Fire Stick. All right, guys, hang tight. Let's hope for the best here. All right, so everyone take a deep breath and relax and try to enjoy our Monday. All right, see you soon, guys. Take care.